Oh, I see Brandon. All right. Hey, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the April 16th, 2025 Read Cohort. Um, Appreciate you all being here. And we're going to talk about ordering. And I see, um, Brandon, you have your hand up. So we appreciate you coming on. Well, no, you want to turn your camera on and mic on?
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, there was some issues with the meeting invite. I couldn't join, but I got it off of the email from Kellen. And I joined off of that email, so I'm adjusting all my settings. I'll get my camera working here in a minute.
Okay. No worries. Um, well, then I'll just, while you're doing that, for people who don't know, I'm Lynn Gasway. I'm sort of the person who started this whole Cohort thing. And, um, and then CJ, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey, Courtney, CJ Rowe with the Enyo National Forest, and like Lynn, I'm a member of the NWCG Resource Advisor Subcommittee. And I order a lot of reads.
And then when Brandon gets his camera on, gets his settings all set up, we'll introduce him. We wanted to talk about ordering resource advisors before the season started. This came up on the Wildland Fire Resource Advisor Facebook page too, not that long ago. So there was definitely some discussion. There's always been a lot of, preferences, personal preferences, and how people order versus what the NWCG and NIFC would like to see. There's some realities of resource advisors are different than primary firefighters, and not knowing the dispatch system as well, and also not always being on and available the way primary firefighters are. So I was thinking this is balancing, trying to get the best, get people out, get what you need for your fire, do the best you can in this weird system that we work in, and sometimes works really well and sometimes doesn't. So I figure it's gonna be a bit of good, bad, and ugly. And hopefully a little bit of training for people who don't know how to order or don't know anything about this whole system. And we did not really plan this. I got CJ yesterday, and Brandon wasn't able to make a planning meeting earlier this month. So, again, welcome to the Volunteer Resource Advisor Cohort. And we'll take questions and deal with that. Do you want to add anything just to start, Courtney?
Just that if I would give one piece of advice to folks that are looking to be ordered, it's that you center and be very clear on what is on your red card and what your availability looks like. It is challenging as a lead read when someone has reached out to me via email and said, I'm available to come as a read. And I almost always have to follow up with a phone call to say, please send me your red card. Are you available in dispatch? Are you available at the GAC level? Are you available nationally? And so knowing where the extent of your geographic area coordinating center ends, in California, we have 2 of them. So if I'm in the Enyo in the south and I'm up on a fire in the north, someone has to be available nationally for me to access them. I have found I've been in 2 GACs, 3 GACs, and all of my dispatchers have been really great if I'm not calling them at a very busy time in the afternoon to work through this with us. and we actually usually have them come and speak at our annual forest refresher. But that is the biggest challenge I would say I encounter, and that it's always interesting when I'm talking to folks in primary fire, because this is just generally not as big of an issue ordering for them as it is for us. So that's my biggest piece of advice. Reach out to your dispatch, be assured of your availability, understand what that looks like for you. Especially before you reach out to a fire and ask to be name requested onto that fire. It's quite challenging to extend a dispatch or through the team's ordering to have multiple resource orders kicked back because someone isn't available that I name request in the system. So I think that's what I would add. Thanks, Lynn.
Let Brandon go, especially because he is at a dispatch center and his time is valuable. So I'll let you introduce yourself and then go ahead and.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Brandon McLemore. I'm the center manager for Sierra National Forest Command Center. I took over the center manager position 2 years ago, and prior to that, I was an assistant center manager in here, and then a dispatcher since about 2012. And then I've been with the Forest Service in fire since 2001. A lot of seasonal years there on engines, hotshots, helicopters. And then, came into dispatch, see kind of what it was all about. And then just kind of got my permanent position in here, and been kind of rolling with it ever since. So I've seen a lot of changes in the system since 2012. Worked in 2 different resource ordering systems, programs that we use. I try to get out a couple times a year, get out an expanded dispatch out of region, or go down to South Ops to the GAC, Geographical Area Coordination Center, or North Ops. And then hopefully this year I'm going to get out to NIC, get out to Boise, and go out to the National Coordination Center there to kind of see what that's all about. So, so Kellen gave me a couple topics to discuss, and then I wrote down a couple notes with what you guys were just chatting about real quick there. And so Kellen kind of just gave me a couple notes of discussing what IROC is, going available, unavailable, availability stuff like you just mentioned there, Courtney, local, regionally, how to contact, who to contact and connect with. And then let me see, I'm reading the next one off his email, sorry. How to order, or how an order makes it through the system from an incident or a unit making a request there. How it gets shopped, what UTF means. So I guess, and then I'll open it up. If you guys have any questions, let me know. They're here, or dump them in the chat, and whoever's monitoring that, let me know. And I can address them as they come. But yeah, basically, I mean, availability wise, so starting off, I guess, like Courtney said, your red card there. If you're looking to get out and want to get out, that's where it all starts, right there with your red card, because the system of record for your qualifications are IQCS, right? Incident qualification system there, and that's where everything is. That's where everything starts, is getting that on your red card. If it's on your red card and in IQCS, typically it comes in. There can be some hiccups and bumps in the road there, but then it'll come up in IROC, which is the Interagency Resource Ordering Capability System. So everything that is in IROC comes qualification-wise comes from IQCS. If it's on your red card, then it should be in IROC. So, and basically how an order comes through the system there is depending on, if it's a extended incident, that's got an incident management team. Those orders are coming out from the line, depending on how big this incident is. They're coming from, the needs of the field there. You get all the way up from your division supervisors out there through your um, operations managers and through the ordering unit. So it's all one ordering point. Those orders come in through ordering, and then from ordering on a large incident, they go into expanded dispatch, where they process the orders. So, a lot of times, a lot of times, uh, you know, the expanded dispatch. I saw that question there. So expanded dispatch is basically there are support, right? So we're running day-to-day operations for dispatching initial attack fires, handling law enforcement incidents, um, tracking all the field going resources, regardless of if they're fire or non-fire. Anybody going into the field, going out to do work, your ologists, all timber, all those type of folks, anybody going in the field, we're tracking those, dispatching all of that stuff. It definitely is not just fire. We get a lot of different odd calls, as most of you all know, working out in the field, you come across stuff in the woods all the time. So, we're here doing that day-to-day operations. When we get a large incident, we bring in just like a very similar to an incident management team, but just supports dispatch. So we'll bring in an expanded dispatch, which is typically a group of, it could be anywhere from, a team is usually a team lead, a expanded supervisor, and then you have at least 4 dispatchers to handle all the different functions, hopefully 5. And then in IROC, basically how stuff's broken up is under functional kind of areas of a cruise overhead, being like single resource, like a read is an overhead resource, um, cruise overhead equipment and supplies. And that's how it's all broken up. So you have a team of dispatchers in there just assigned to that. So they're not having to be on the radio and do all the daily duties of dispatch at freeze, dispatch up for all the new incidents that you're going to get throughout a day. So that's the basic of expanded dispatch. So ordering unit on the incident management team works directly with expanded dispatch. And I think that ties right into what Courtney was saying there about knowing your availability, and making sure that that's communicated. So a lot of times what'll happen is, say a lead read or reef there from the team, they're talking to somebody or they relay it through ordering or their operations, that, hey, I know of Brandon from the Sierra is available as a read, but that hasn't been checked with Brandon, right? Or Brandon didn't check with his supervisor, or Brandon didn't communicate with dispatch to make sure in the system that he shows available. So then an order gets pushed through ordering, gets to expanded dispatch. And then I know I'm kind of going fast here, and jumbling it up, but those orders go from expanded dispatch, then they're going to go to, anyway, that order makes it all the way through the chain back to the local unit on the Sierra. Well, the dispatch center here calls calls the duty officer, or the supervisor, and then they say, no, Brandon's not available. I have priority projects for him to work on. And then so that order went all the way through the system, and then just to get kiboshed on the other end because Brandon wasn't actually available. So just making sure that you're communicating with your supervisor and with dispatch. So that the availability in IROC is there's options for us to select in IROC for a resource, whether it be crews, equipment, overhead, in this case overhead, their availability. So we can make them unavailable, which means they do not pop up for any orders when we filter for that specific order. Or they can be available, but there's different levels of being available, right? So being available local in the dispatch world basically means like you're available to your local unit or your local forest. being available to the GAC or the Geographical Area Coordination Center means, you're available to that geographic area. Being, here in California, GAC, we consider, Region 5. So whatever region you're in available to that GAC, that's kind of what that means. And then national, self-explanatory, right? Available to the world. So just making sure that you're communicating with either your supervisor, however your local unit, typically for us, for all the folks that go out like read type stuff, or any folks that have, single resource quals, that aren't really fire on our forest, we are open for them just calling us and letting us know, hey, I'm available. Can you put me available GAC or available local? But we also trust them to give us a call back if they're not available, or if they have a priority they have to work on, or whatever, and they're not going to be available for a certain amount of time. We kind of put it on them and trust them to let us know their availability. On the fire side of things, we use the duty officers. So your district fire management officers, forest fire management officers, and what have you. And yes, I saw that comment there. There is a self-status option. You work through your unit, you can request access to IROC as self-status. So you can get in there and self-status yourself. But that is up to your local unit. And basically, yeah, your local unit and your dispatch center, your center manager, that's kind of their their kind of local policies and procedures, their SOGs, SOPs there, on how they do that. In our center, I have no problem giving anybody self-status. It takes a load off of our plate, but we are more than happy to do that for folks. So I guess, in addition to that, I kind of talked a little bit about the orders making it through the system. So, and I'm kind of talking large incident here, but so a large incident, you get your orders to that expanded dispatch or that dispatch center through the ordering unit, the one ordering point, that gets to expanded. So if say you're, wherever you're in region 1 or whatever, but the fire's out here in region 5. So if I have a fire and we're ordering a read, they're ordering, depending on how it goes, there's a couple different ways to do it, but basically orders go from the dispatch center to their parent, which would be the GAC, to South Ops for me, Geographical Area Coordination Center. From South Ops, if it's going to go to Region 1, that order has to go from South Ops, then it has to go to NIC, National Area Agency Coordination Center, goes from NIC to Region 1, GAC, and then from there down to the local center associated to that. So there's a big workload there, and if it's a name request, stuff is a little different. I don't want to get all the way down in the weeds on stuff like that, but basically those orders say if it's not a name request and it's just an order for a read, they're gonna kind of just look at they're gonna expect us to look locally. For all our folks, it gets down to the GAC. They're going to kind of shop all the forests in their GAC first. So it takes time. It's going to come to me. I don't have one. The order goes back to the GAC. Then they shop it to just say the Sequoia. Sequoia doesn't have one. So it's going to go to each unit that may have a read, or whatever resource it is, an engine, whatever. And then it's going to go back and forth to the GAC. So it takes time. So that's the important part of making sure if you say you are available, you are actually available. And then additionally, you actually have that qual and you've checked that. And maybe you're a trainee, but that's not communicated. And then they order a read, comes all the way down to me to fill the read. But, Courtney popped up, but she's only a trainee. So I can't fill that order. I can't fill a qualified order with a trainee, or vice versa. So that's a little bit of that. Yeah, I could go on for a long time with the ordering process, but in general, that is how it works. Our parents in the system are the geographical area coordination centers, and it goes from the center to the geographical area coordination center. If it's going to go from one GAC to another GAC, Region 5 to Region 1, it has to go through Nick. And Nick is very, very, very busy, as you can imagine, and so they do not. Uh, I don't know how to put this. They don't mess around. If there's something wrong with it, they're not going to sit there um, and try to get it fixed at Nick. If there's something wrong with an order, they just push it back. They push it back right away. They're pushing so many orders nationwide every single day that they don't have the time um, to sit there and mess around with orders. So they just push it back to the forest or the unit or the incident to manage. Um, Now, if we're talking a little bit, smaller local incidents, even down to initial attack, um, the way that's sorry, uh, so the way that kind of works is everything for an initial attack or smaller incidents that are going. Everything for us is built in. It's built into the system to get ordered on initial attack right away. So all we have to do is punch our button in our Wildcat system, which is our computer-aided dispatch system. That pops up a list of all the stuff we have pre-built in our response plans, and then we dispatch those resources. So typically, overhead resources like that, minus say the duty officer, chief officer, those are not built in those pre-planned dispatches for us. I can't speak for everyone. Um, but so typically, yeah, overhead resources aren't built in there. If that's something your unit would like to do, or it's just communicating and working with your duty officer. So the district duty officer for us, we have anywhere from, it could be 2 duty officers, one for each side of the forest per day, or it could be up to 4 for each one of the battalions or the districts there. Um, and so it's just on local stuff like that. It's just working through the local system. And for us, excuse me, we really push back on our units to have one ordering point. So after that initial attack, and once we get all that stuff out, we're looking for one person, whether it be the duty officer, or they establish somebody back at the district office or supervisor's office to be their kind of conduit to dispatch. Because we're super busy when that stuff's going on, so you start getting orders from all kinds of random people. Um, it bogs down the system. It really bogs it down. You get duplications, you get all kinds of stuff. So really, we just really look for working with one ordering point, and that's kind of how we go. But it's kind of the same, right? Just making sure that you are available, you have that qual on your red card if you're going to take the time to work with that ordering point to get ordered up. And let's see here. So kind of we went over kind of qualification, red card, making sure that that's on there every year, making sure that you're, whatever you got trainee qualified. That's where it all begins right there, is that red card and that IQCS system. Availability, local, GAC, national, we kind of did. Just making sure you're communicating with dispatch, or your supervisor communicating with dispatch, let him know your availability, or you've reached out and you've obtained that self status access in IROC that you're doing that, you're being accountable for it and staying on top of it. And then yeah, so UTF. UTF is basically that's acronym for unable to fill. So if we've shopped an order all the way around and it is unable to be filled, that comes back UTF. So maybe there could be a lot of what I just talked about in that makes that happen. The person either didn't come up in IROC at all, they haven't checked with their training officer or their supervisor to make sure they're updated in IQCS, to push that to IROC, or their availability, they're unavailable, or they were showing available and then you got a hold of them and they were actually unavailable. So yeah, that's a UTF, unable to fill. I see a hand up there. Go ahead. Is it Maggie?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you. My name's Maggie Robinson. I'm actually an engineering geologist with the North Coast Regional Water Quality Control Board out of Santa Rosa. And I've been participating in these calls for quite a while. I took a break, and today's my first time that I've come back in about a year. And one of the things that we have been interested in is being able to participate as reads. I don't know if that's been discussed in previous meetings over the past year that I haven't participated in, but how would we make it easier for the Forest Service to be able to utilize us? I've worked in timber harvest, and I worked with the Shasta Trinity National Forest as a sort of a liaison from our office for many years. So how do we make that easier? Do you have need for us to be out there? We've got engineering geologists, we have engineers, we have people who are, I mean, roads are my expertise, water course crossings, water resources, all that stuff. How would we do that? And maybe this isn't the place to talk about it, but perhaps at some point I could be directed to how to make that, how to make us more available to you guys if you need us. And yes, I would love to do bear work.
Yeah, you sound perfect for bear. We need bear engineers. So we.
I think this question is beyond the topic of this
Understood.
particular cohort, because this is just like how to get the people out to the fires and how that ordering system works.
Right.
I think like there are a whole bunch of people, the READ subcommittee, and the Forest Service now has READ coordinators that is all working towards that, to making us more available and working well with the teams and in the fire situation. So we can definitely talk about that more. You can reach out to me or Courtney or anybody on the READ subcommittee or the Forest Service READ coordinators. Talk about and future READ cohort meetings.
Great. And how do I find those READ coordinators?
I will put my email.
I'm going to put the Region 5 ones, which is California, in the chat for you. I'm going to put the
Excellent.
post-fire one in the READ. Sound good?
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And I'll let you get back to the topic at hand. Thank you.
Thanks for your question. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys saved me. I had no idea what to say. I'm just kidding. So I guess with that, I mean, I've kind of gone over a lot of stuff, kind of probably a lot of information for you guys. I'm trying to read here. Oh, the other thing I did have for the for qualified or trainee, that order just needs to come through and be communicated like that through the ordering point, right? You know, and if they are looking for a qualified, so a lot of times, when we get orders for that, you know, and we go to, say Kellen here locally, you know, Kellen calls, he's like, hey, I have I can go as qualified. I also have somebody as a trainee. I'd like to take them with me to get experience, or they need another assignment to get qualified. That just needs to be communicated. If he communicates that to us, we can ask that question back up. And if they're willing to take a trainee with them, they'll send us another order for a trainee. If you're qualified, you can take that trainee with you as long as they meet all the criteria and everything that we've already discussed, being available, having it on their red card, and whatnot. So I guess, yeah, not to take up too much of everybody's time, but what do you guys have are there any questions I've missed in the chat, or any other questions you have right now, or topics I can discuss?
One that I saw in the chat that comes up is, you know, if you are name requested, which happens pretty frequently as a reef, do you have to be listed as national in order for that name request to go through? I can't remember who listed that, but that was up in the chat.
Typically, yes. Yes, you typically you have to be available national for that to go through, and that would be kind of more specific to going out nationwide, right? Like if there's an incident in another region and you're coming from region 5 or you're coming from another region here, they're definitely going to want you to be showing available national. And name requests also, as far as name requests, they really need to be justified. Because there really needs to be a big justification in there why you're name requesting that person. And what the reasons are, whatever. I was in Salmon, Idaho last year, and they had a bunch of fires going on, and there was we were there. Expanded dispatch was right there at the district office, the supervisor's office, and the lead read was coming in and working with us daily. They had a lot of folks that they were getting out, a lot of local folks that were available. But we were just, we needed that justification in there to just be able to fill those orders locally like that. And that was basically just, the local knowledge of the area, but selling it, just like you're selling it basically to get that name request in there. So justified on your general message there through ordering is the big part for name requests. What else do we have here? I'm trying to pull the chat up. Oh, here we go. Network. I see that in there. Yes, that's huge for you guys out there. Just networking and making those relationships, right? That's big for all of us. For me to get out as expanded dispatcher, that's through relationships I've made through trainings and meetings and whatnot. And taking assignments here and there and just, yeah, building those relationships and networking.
Can I add something on the networking front? Like for those that are going to work as a lead read, the other thing I will say is you do not have to name request reads, right? Like it's a little bit more democratic if you do a little bit of both, of some name requesting and also what we would call blind ordering or a regular ordering of archaeologists and reefs. There is an option to particular specialties or needs that you have of those reefs in the ordering request. So you don't have to just order a reef that is a reef. You can be looking for a reef that's a hydrologist. Depending on the season, it might be hard for the dispatch to shop that. But I think there's a false narrative out there that reefs have to be name requested or that's the best way to do it. And when you're working on a large incident, there's often a need to go ahead and order reefs through the traditional ordering system. That is often how you will get them more quickly.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, those specialties are going to come in handy, right? So kind of one of the ways that works is for us anyway, for a lot of our reads fall under either some of them are a few of them are on the district. We have a few of them, like I've seen a few in here about roads engineers and stuff. If they're over at the supervisor's office, they fall for us in our specific protocols. They fall under the forest duty officer for that day. So that's usually either our fire management officer or assistant fire management officer, or one of the or our fire planner over there. So basically, if we get an order for that, if it's a name request, if it's not, everybody that's qualified as a read will pop up for that order in IROC. However, if it's got some some specialties in there or stuff written in what we call there's kind of a free form text option in IROC called special needs. We and that's where we're selling it, right? If you're looking for that road engineer, what have you, you're going to put that in there in that special needs. You're looking for a read with this experience or these qualifications or familiar with these job duties, what have you. We type all that in the special needs. So say we get an order for that and it's got all that in the special needs, I can call over to the forest duty officer and be like, hey, I got a order for a read. It's not a name request. I just have an order for a read. This is all the stuff in special needs. Can you camp?
Oh, you're muted, Brandon. I don't know what happened. Oh, you muted again.
Oh, muted again. Weird.
There you
I don't know where I muted myself. But yeah, in those
Um,
special need, did I make it to special needs yet?
You did what make it the special needs, and the local, the district are shopping it around.
Yeah. Yeah, so in those special needs, I could call over to the duty officer at the district or at the supervisor's office or wherever and be like, hey, I have this order for a read. It's got all this stuff in special needs. It looks like this would be good for some. I mean, it at the local unit's pretty small, right? I see all the names that pop up for read. I know that Antonio's Antonio's our forest engineer. Or John is John's engineering or whatever name it is. Brandon works in dispatch, whatever. I'll be like, hey, I have this order for the read. Here's all the special needs. Can you check with the engineering guys to see if any of them are available? They're showing available in IROC. And then usually he'll just go get a hold of one of them or whatever, and they'll call direct and we'll get that order filled. But yeah, in the networking and that special needs is a freeform text box that you can sell all that stuff that you're really looking for if you're trying to get a specialty or you're trying to get out for there. That's just networking, right? Like we talked about.
Brandon,
Kind of go ahead.
I'm gonna break in. I wanna I quickly threw together a PowerPoint to show some things and sort of take us in a bit of a different direction. I know that there are questions coming in it, but I want to just see if I can get this to go. If it's working. Okay.
Yep, I see it.
Yep. Cool, because I can't. There we go. We've had this guidance up in the Read cohort for a while, and then actually these first few slides on these 1, 2, and 3 got written up from one of the Forest Service Read coordinators. I think Region 3's Read coordinator, as to the process, some of the process, and then I have the forms, the general message forms, and some ideas about how to better make those general message forms work well. And so hopefully this will tie in. The first and really the only way you can order somebody is going through IROC, as Brandon just talked about. You have to put it in, whether you're doing a name request or an open order or anything else. And I think we got a good overview of that. Just in other ways that are out there to help you get the word out that you're ordering, because we all know that resource advisors, since we're not in that like always available, or we don't usually call up, we don't go in and out of availability with the same ease that primary firefighters do, because they do it all the time. And we may be sitting there sort of waiting, talking to our supervisor and going like, hey, if a fire comes up, can I make myself available? And they're like, yes, but don't make yourself available until you know where you're going. All these like negotiations that are going on in the background, that you can be looking at the Read cohort. It's totally unofficial. And one of the things that we've put in place too is that in order to get on our little list, we want to see the order. We want to see that the fires actually put a resource order in. And that's sort of to save our own problems on the back end. I had one fire season where somebody put up, this fire is looking for for this many resource advisors, this many archaeologists, and here are the contacts. Well, I started getting texts at like 4 a.m. from a member of the public who was not a firefighter saying, why are people texting me asking me to go to a fire? I said, I don't know. I will track it down. So we immediately took that down. Turns out there were 3 different contacts and all the phone numbers were wrong. I ended up having to go straight to the fire and to that unit because I knew that forest and find out who the AA was and who the lead read was to get the right information. And it turned out that they weren't looking for anybody anymore. They got what they needed already. So we are trying to clean that up, make sure that the order is going through the right process before we, as the cohort, will put out, yes, people are they're looking. And then we try to keep that up to date. Do you want to add anything, Courtney?
Nah, it's okay.
Okay, you can. And then on top of that, once it's in the cohort, we also will put it out on the 2 Facebook pages. So that's just another way to get that information out when they're open orders, or if your people are looking and want to try to get name requested.
I do hear people say, well, I don't want to blind order. I want to know what I'm getting. And I guess I would say the more I work with folks on the fire side, granted, there's more modules and capacities that are associated with each module, but most fire dispatching is not name request. Brandon can correct me if I'm wrong, but so that's where getting into the special needs. I need a reef with hydrologic experience. That's how you can then use these broader outreach tools that are available through the READ cohort. You're going to have to put in an order that says I need a reef with these special needs, and then the cohort can help you to shop for that.
Cool. And
Hey, Lynn?
Marissa?
Yeah.
Yeah,
hi.
I think you were the one that put that together, weren't you?
I did, but that's okay. I don't need the credit. But thank you for sharing that. I think this is the good timing. I'm a relay for Dave Calorie right now, and wanted to let the
Always.
group know. Yes. It seemed to fit in good at this spot. With kind of using those unofficial aids, that this is a really new development this is for Forest Service folks at this time, but if anyone who is familiar with
Okay.
get some background noise. Anyone who's familiar with the AGOL roster that was created for Bear last year for Forest Service, right now the Forest Service is trying to piggyback onto that to add READ to that, hopefully sometime next month. And so it's this AGOL platform, roster system where everyone can put their information, list all these specialties. It's being developed right now. Hopefully it can be rolled out next month. And right now they're just biting off Forest Service. There may be a potential to expand it to multiple agencies in the future, but just want to put that on everyone's radar. And once it's official, it will be blasted out. But it's a pretty good tool, searching for, READ folks and Bear folks with all of their specialties highlighted as well. So just putting that plug in.
Great. That's great. Thanks. But it just it's only for Forest Service people, right? Like and what about ADs and other agencies?
So I'm for right now it is Forest Service. I have seen AD names on there for the Bear folks. I can't speak to all those other specifics at this time. I think once it's rolled out, we'll try to address some of those and get those questions answered. But yeah, and hopefully we'll biting off one agency right now, and then we may be able to open it up to all agencies. That's what I would really like someday. So.
Okay. Well, hopefully that'll work. That'll be interesting to see how it works, since Bear teams are more of a team ordered that's more the same way the teams are than individual resource advisors. So it'll be interesting to see how it works. Hopefully it'll be great. I just wanted to talk about like how you put an order into IROC. Like if you're the lead resource advisor, if you're even just tasked with how do I order somebody, you just fill out this great general message form. General message form will get you everything on a fire. And you can find this on the examples of this, some templates for both name requests and general ordering on the Read Cohort Google Drive in the folder, the 5.1 Ordering More Reads folder. So you can find this stuff. But you can fill it out, you can type it up, you send it in to ordering that's on the incident. And some great info that I have picked up from different fires orderings is this is those special needs, that information that you need to be putting in for resource advisors on that general message form in order to get them there with the right equipment, get it through the system well, and make it run smoother. And I will post this quick PowerPoint, but these two examples are in that same folder. And then I'll open it up. Courtney, you want to add?
I wanted to say that the ability to work with ordering is usually a delegated authority that comes from your agency administrator. So it's not just every person on the fire on the resource advisor side that can do this work. In the initial stages of the fire, it is usually the forest read coordinator or unit read coordinator. It may differ from unit to unit, but I would say if you're not sure if you're delegated this authority, that is something to check on first before you simply start sending in orders to your dispatch center.
Yep. And if you have more than one person ordering, make sure that you're coordinating too, so that you don't have these mix-ups with all of a sudden you only wanted 2 people and you've got 20. A hand up, Martina?
Yeah, just a little clarification. I was on a training last week and we were talking about the RR forms versus the general message for ordering, and maybe some newer folks might benefit from that clarification. I've been on fires where I've been, handed an RR, and I try to explain that we really can't use that for ordering reads and reads. At least to my knowledge, we still can't.
You'll have to explain. I don't even know what an RR form is.
It's a resource order form. Resource request message. And I think it's for the resources that are in IROC as resources that are ordered through the fire versus through the AA.
Okay. But is it more like ordering through Viper, like what ordering does? Ordering on the fire, do they fill that out off of the general message form and then order equipment and people? Like, I have actually never even heard of this form. Maybe Brendan?
And I'll just keep my mouth shut as to not confuse anyone else. Thank you.
I would say when a big incident is rocking and rolling and I'm working through extended dispatch, I'm in there with planning ops and we are using the same type of formatting to order overhead resources. So there are a lot of other resources that get ordered on a fire, as Brandon was talking about, supplies, crews,
right,
equipment. So yes, we are not equipment, but I would say in general, I am using the same general message as planning operations, who is often working with ordering to order a lot of overhead resources. I'm using the same formatting that planning is using, and it is that what Len put up, a general message with specific information on the overhead resource that I'm requesting, what is authorized with that overhead resource, and that's how that is routed. But Brandon, you can jump in if I've got that wrong.
No, that's for dispatch and expanded. Everything's going to come through that general message, often referred to as a 213. That's the ICS form number. But yeah, and then that example you put up, that's great. That's what you need on there. You need who, what, when, where, why, all that good stuff just gives dispatch more ability to put that stuff in the order and get you what you want. And yeah, I wasn't sure about the RR form. Maybe if I saw it, I might recognize it. But but yeah, so yeah, that 213, that's great. That's exactly what you need. That's what's coming through. And like you said, you can get a lot of them now. They're the online fillable ones. So, um, yeah, that's and then yeah, the ordering points, like you said, one ordering point. That's what we do here. If we start to get multiple folks just placing orders, I gotta call the duty officer or whoever and be like, hey, whoa, 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 this isn't gonna work for us. It's got for us, it's got to be that one ordering point, and that just keeps everything clean um, throughout the whole process in the system. So.
The other plug I will make is if there are specialists on your unit that you will expect to want to use as resource advisors, please try to get them that qualification on their red card instead of just a firefighter 2. Like, the most challenging thing I often have as a lead read is we really need someone's local expertise and they only have firefighter type 2 on their red card. And the amount of justification or discussion I have with dispatch to get that person assigned to the fire can be really challenging. Sometimes we need that particular person, but I would really advocate that either they end up with the very general THSP on their red card, if your dispatch and training officer will support that, or read, brief, etc.
Yeah, I'll jump in on that one. That's a great point because I can't tell you how many times uh, that we get an incident, it goes big, and the next thing everybody's knocking down the door, be like, oh well, I'll have all these guys from Wilderness, and I want to get them as drivers. I'm using them as a driver, or I'm going to use this person as what have you. I got all these firefighters that are seasonal temporaries that just started, but I want to use them, and I'm using them as drivers. I want to get them, paid and blah 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 blah, or ADs or what have you. But putting in that groundwork beforehand is what it takes, because I can't just throw everybody on the resource order because you're going to use them as a driver, or they want to use you as a read or a driver or whatever, but you didn't put the groundwork in at the beginning of the season to get that on your red card so I can order you up in the system. My hands are tied if they are not in the system.
You think?
Did you have anything else like direct right now, or I saw a couple questions in there that I could in the chat that I could answer real quick, or if you guys want to move on. Okay, so I did see one, and I think I replied to the chat. Would a name request nationally take precedence over somebody that's local? It should not. If you have a local incident, your dispatch center and everybody, as long as you're available in the system, they should be shopping those local resources first. So there should not even be a name request that goes nationally if there is for a read, if there is a local read available. So those local units should be shopping that local stuff first. And then I see one where the availability, like available national, what's the expectation for how quickly you'd be able to leave for the assignment, and how flexible is that? That's basically up to you working with that ordering point or your supervisor of. So on those resource orders and that general message you saw, there should be a needed date and time on there. So if the needed date, and you're expected to meet that needed date and time if you're going to take that order. If that can be worked through the system, but you got to know that if everybody's super busy and say that order is nationally, that has to go through a whole process all the way back to the IC or the ordering operations ordering manager to adjust that needed date and time. So if that needed date and time on that resource order is expected to be met if you're going to take that assignment. And then how are the specialties of reads recorded? I think we covered that there on that. We don't necessarily record it in your resource and IROC, but it needs to be in those special needs or in those special requests on that general message of what you're actually looking for. and then we can relay that to, say I get an order for a read, it's got all that stuff in the special needs. Like I said earlier, I can relay it to my forest duty officer and say, hey, I think these guys in engineering might meet this, or these folks in ARC might meet this, or what have you. So it's not really recorded in your resource. It's going to be all in the special needs. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just kind of reading through
No,
here.
you're good.
Go
We're-
ahead.
We got 3 minutes left, so
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna call a timeout and
Yep.
and thank you, Brendan and Courtney. Really appreciate you guys taking your time and being a part of this. In our last 3 minutes, I would like to address the one question from the beginning that doesn't have to do with ordering. It's to do with the AD. If you take the DRP or a VSIP, I'm putting a frequently asked questions answer that came from DOI, so Department of Interior. So not sure how that affects any other agency in these times, about whether you can AD if you've taken the deferred retirement or AVERA, the voluntary early retirement, or the VSIP, the voluntary, I forget what that one is. That's the incentive cash payout. And then what it, I'll bring it up on the screen too, just. So really what it says is, as long if you're in an administrative leave situation, you can't do double dip. You can't be an AD while you're getting paid to be on administrative leave. And so it's the day that administrative leave ends, you could go AD if you can get sponsored, or you can get a unit to do your AD paperwork. If you take the incentive, at least for the Department of Interior, and I can say personally from the National Park Service, there is a 5-year clause in it that if you take any direct federal job, which includes AD, you have to repay the incentive gross, the whole thing. When you receive it, they've taken out taxes. When you pay it back, you have to pay the taxes back. And that's for the 5 years. So that's all I know. This is an official document. I got through 2 different things. I'm also gonna put another folder. There's another folder on the READ cohort that has information about AD hiring. It's folder 1.2 AD hiring, and here's the link. That's what I got. That's all I know. Lots of hard decisions being made right now.
Hey, Lynn, it sounds like the original question was about what if you're Rift? Can you go out as AD?
I have no information on that. I would it since you're just being fired. I haven't seen any paper where it says that you couldn't AD. I had somebody ask me about, like, well, if you get fired, isn't that a bad mark on your like, why would a federal agency rehire you? But I think that's the local unit making the decision on who they're hiring as AD. But that's all just my total speculation on that. I've not seen anything.
And also,
official.
I have, we've been trying to get ADs rostered for bear teams and stuff, and it is across the board. Some people that have recently retired are having a hard time getting AD sponsors because they're waiting. The agencies are waiting for the next round of RIFs before they can find out who they're going to hire AD. So people are having a hard time finding AD sponsors right now.
Plus a lot of local units there, whoever is running that AD, their window has closed, and they're not taking on any more people, because it's a lot of work for them, and they may already have filled their roster of ADs that they're willing to take on. There is all that. I will add that if you go, there is this other option of going through a cooperator, like a county or local fire department or something else. But you got to do all the legwork. You got to like call them all, figure out whether they will take you on, and work that out. And I've heard some people talking about that there's a bit of a gray area in there because you end up, some of the wording in like the VSIP is giving direction to federal employees. And that's not a direct quote, but so.
Plus, in California, local resources often get dispatched through the CICCS system, so there's more complexity in California too.
Right, there's a lot of stuff. So, yeah, if people have more information, shoot it towards the cohort managers, and we'll try to, collect it and put it in a place for people. But it's crazy.
Yeah, the hard thing too, just to recognize for folks, is that the different agencies are providing different guidance, and that's creating some confusion across the board. So recognize, I think everybody just has to be a little patient right now as this sorts out, as the dust settles.
Yeah. Excuse me. That's all I got on that. Even if anybody else has more information on those outs and AD. All right. Well, I have to leave for another meeting, and I'm sure everybody else has their day jobs to go to. So, again, thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Brandon, and really appreciate it. And everybody have a wonderful day.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much.